everyone, Trevor at Toploaded Gaming. Intellivision has confirmed that the Amico is delayed again, surprising absolutely no one. I've even seen some staunch supporters admitting that they knew this was coming. Intellivision sent an email out essentially saying that despite their best efforts, they are facing unprecedented component supply and logistics challenges beyond their control. Now, despite what a lot of others would say, there are chip shortages affecting the market right now. But when Tommy has so many conflicting statements, people are going to be skeptical. And that's Tommy's fault.
Mr. Toploaded Gaming, the fucking garden gnome who thinks he's intelligent.
I also refuse to believe that no one warned Tommy that the way he's been acting on YouTube and Twitter this whole time was a bad idea and could bite him and the company in the ass. And it seems to me that whatever they were saying did finally reach him, but he just can't help himself, so he still has to chime in on some things. Now, Rich made a video, and I want to say, I feel like this is truly the first video where he didn't really hold back his thoughts.
I've had a very checkered past with the Intellivision Amico.
Let me ask a question. What is one of the purposes of Rich's videos about products, my videos about products, or anyone that makes videos about products as a whole, reviews them, talks about them before the release, whatever? Aside from, being passionate about the topic and enjoying making videos, editing, sharing ideas, I believe it's to inform consumers that may be looking to buy said products. And these people who watch, if you're lucky, they begin to trust your takes on certain things. So if you expect to keep their trust, you have to remain impartial. Now, everyone's different. I interviewed Tommy, and I feel like it didn't corrupt me. I didn't let a sense of friendliness get in between my true thoughts of the Amico or Tommy as the CEO. Whereas in the past, I can remember a product I had requested to be sent to me for the purposes of review, and just from getting the email saying I was getting it, it made me panic that was I going to be able to be truthful if the product was bad? Simply because this person was helping my channel out. I didn't expect I'd feel this way, and it never ended up happening. But I think Rich got too close to Tommy there for a while. It happens. I'm not going to shit on him for it. You don't go seeking it out. It just kind of happens. And you find yourself in that spot. But now that Rich gave a little bit of his thoughts in that first video he made, which was really mild criticism, by the way, you could tell he was still holding back.
That's my opinion. I'm allowed to have it. But do not say that I'm attacking anybody because I have a negative opinion on a product that I think is very justifiable to have.
But then Rich getting to see how Tommy reacted to that little bit of criticism. It seems like Rich is finally getting to distance himself from this whole thing where he can give his honest thoughts now. Now you have Pat. And with Pat, I think people need to realize this is one of the reasons Pat never wanted to go to Tommy's house to try the Amico out. How can you keep the trust of your viewers when you go to the CEO's house? I mean, some people definitely can do this. Journalists do it all the time. They go spend a week with someone, then turn around and make a hit piece about them or their company. So there are people that can definitely do it. But we're not journalists. So you don't really know how you're going to feel until you're in it. We also don't have a boss to make us recuse ourselves from a story if we do get compromised. So if you intend to keep your audience's trust, you have to take this kind of stuff seriously. Maybe Pat had a past experience that taught him to stay away from situations like this. And then you don't have to try out a product to engage in discussion nor criticism about that product. Once the advertising and specs of the product are out or even leaked or just announced where the details have emerged, you can discuss it. So if you're the type of person to say that that's unfair, you have to try it before You can even talk about it. I question if your own integrity hasn't been compromised on this topic. Now, speaking of compromised integrity, let's talk about SmashJT's recent video on the Amico.
It frustrates me when they fill it with a bunch of lies and concerns that may or may not exist, because their approach is to derail this, to attack it, to tear it down, to make sure it's not successful, just for the sake of being able to say, I told you so.
May or may not exist. If these concerns have validity, then it's not to say, I told you so. It's to inform consumers.
Yes, I am an investor in the Intellivision Amico. I don't have this bias that is just like, the Amico has to succeed because I put money. I don't care.
Look, Jeff, you absolutely do have a bias with the Amico. First of all, you went to Tommy's house. You consider him a friend at this point. You invested $10,000 into it. If you were a journalist working on an investigative piece on the Amico or on Tommy himself as the CEO, you would absolutely be recused from the story. Maybe if information had to be vetted later on in the process, you could sit in on that. But other than that, you would be sidelined from working on it. Now, again, you have no boss there to make you see this, to force you into that situation, to recuse yourself. So it's on you alone to protect yourself from this. Now, you can say you don't care all you want, but you so obviously do care. You care so much, you are literally throwing away the trust of your viewers for this bullshit.
Unless it's like a straight up scam, which in my original video, going up to meet Tommy, was to find out if this was a scam or not. And when I found out it wasn't, I was all in. I was like, this is great.
Saying it's not a scam doesn't make it above criticism. And just to let you know, the Amico not being a scam is a pretty fucking low bar.
Isn't that what you want, is play games that are fun?
Games that are fun?
My frustration with the Pat and Ian video mostly revolves around the controller.
The controller?
Motion controls absolutely suck, and they're slowly deteriorating the entire video game industry. As far as an immersive game experience, it's really unnecessary technology. And then one of the biggest offenders is the 3DS. I remember playing Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time 3D on this thing, and I mean, the sight was...
Bruh. Now don't get me wrong, I really hate motion controls too. Other than like on-rail shooters or something like that, I really don't care for motion controls. To me, at least for now, until motion controls serve a way bigger purpose and the technology is right for it, I think motion controls are just a gimmick for the most part.
The controller's not good for this and that and the other thing. And I keep going back to, like, as they're talking about it, I'm like, what? Why don't you play it? Like, and find out for yourselves instead of making all these accusations and assumptions.
Play it before you criticize it? This video was prior to the Switch coming out, yes? So let me ask you, have you tried the Joy-Con motion controls before you started hating on Nintendo? Did you make sure to try out the haptic feedback to get the full-on Switch experience? Bro, why you gotta gatekeep? Just to say I told you so? This you? Bro, why you hating on the Atari VCS? Just because they aren't the big three? Why you gotta gatekeep, bro? Just to say I told you so? This you? Bro, why you hating on Soulja Boy's console? Just because it's a literal scam and not part of the big three? Why you gotta gatekeep? Just to say I told you so? This you? Bro, why you hating on the PlayStation Classic? Just because it's the big three you gotta gatekeep? Just to say I told you so? Okay, I think you get the point. Even though there are a lot more videos I could reference, my main point is this. Despite your hypocrisy and inconsistency, is that this is a false dichotomy. It's a false dilemma fallacy. Either you agree that the product is amazing, or you're rooting for it to fail. You're so transparent. That's not the only two possibilities, but you already know that, don't you, Smash? So much for being nuanced.
Everyone who has not played this yet has this angle of, let's tear it down, because gamers are gatekeepers. Gamers want to we must protect the big three. We must protect what we know and love. We can't have new companies come to the arena.
You really want to claim this is gatekeeping and just hating? All right, remember when Tommy was accusing Nintendo of selling child exploitation games and all the weird issues he had with Nintendo expecting them to censor their games? And even games that just mentioned drugs like Narcos based off of the Netflix series. Having a temper tantrum, threatening to sue journalists. The way he's so obsessed with anyone critical of the Amico, even going as far as to keep folders with info on certain vocal people. SEC Edgar filings that were not up to date, to say the least, where they failed to remove individuals when they were no longer involved nor employed in the project. All his conflicting statements during all of his interviews. It's where you can't trust if he knows something or not, because he may lie just to save face from something as innocuous as not knowing a phrase. He seems reluctant to admit that he's marketing this towards retro gamers, despite shoehorning retro designs into the console, into the controller, and into the games themselves. Now, this is me on my own saying this could be the case. I'm purely speculating here, to be clear. But I think he lied in Rich's interview about being in talks with Konami about getting a new Contra.
Well, we're we're talking to him.
When 3 weeks prior, he was saying in another interview,
it would probably be, a few years down the road, and we'd really have to do some focus tests. Because remember that trust thing, right?
Right.
I want to build trust with the parents, and if they walk in on their kid and they got bazookas and machine guns and they're killing other people, it's like, even though that's a rated E it's an E10 plus game, I don't know, I just don't feel comfortable, doing that, putting that on. But we'd have to do some market research, I guess. But I would say probably not so much those kind of games. But, could we make it could you do like kind of a fun shooter that maybe has a squirt gun or a paint gun instead?
Yeah.
he just didn't feel comfortable with guns, at least for the time being. Yet 3 weeks later, he's in talks with Konami? Or is he just placating retro gamers because he's trying to appeal to them? Look, I could go on with more. There are issues both with Tommy as CEO and with the products. Pretending otherwise just shows how irrational you truly are on this topic. And I believe your relationship with Tommy and how invested you are with the Amico is a direct correlation to your irrational shillfest you call a video nearing fanboy levels of cringe. Intellivision isn't a charity. And just because they are not the big three does not make them above criticism, and you know this. What happened to you? Like I said in my previous video to you, you were never the person you claimed to be. You're fake, you aren't consistent, and you know it yourself, dude, because you're self-aware enough to say as much in your own fucking video.
If you're getting mad about a game system that you haven't played, maybe, I'm not saying you have to listen to me, but maybe reassess your priorities in life and what your values are. And maybe you need to take a step back from the internet and realize what you like in life. What do you want? Instead of focusing on what you hate and why you want it to suffer and fail just to say you're right about something, why not focus on what you like? I don't know. That kind of trends towards the, can't we just play games, guys? Can't we all just get along?
Can't we just play games is a phrase Smash will use to mock other YouTubers that are trying to silence criticism. Yet you still carry right on. No moment of clarity, just cognitive dissonance. Holy shit, dude. You can literally see how uncomfortable you are in that moment when you realize it. But you quickly wish it away so you can continue on with your delusions of being impartial. How many times are you going to strawman everybody? Every chance they get. Everyone that talks about this just dumps on it every single chance they get, and they are just doing it to say I told you so, and they are gatekeeping. Bro, just take the L and move on. Even if the Amico comes out, right, and it ends up a commercial success, it still won't change the fact that you compromised yourself, and your audience will remember it. Every time you share your opinion on the next console, they'll have to wonder, did you tell them the truth? Did you tell them how you really felt? Did you compromise yourself again? Why aren't you treating this new product like you did the Amico? They'll also call you out for critiquing new products, future products. I guess if you don't care, if you have the trust of your audience, go for it. You do you. But in closing, I'm not going to say I don't want the Amico to fail or any other placating should be common sense bullshit. I don't care what you, the viewer, think of my opinion of the Amico. I care that you know what I said is my honest thoughts. And as long as I'm being honest, I don't give two shits if you think I'm hating or anything else. Well, anyway, that's going to do it for me. This is Trevor at Toploaded Gaming. I'll see you next time.
So my point is, like, you know why? Because we're real. We tell it how it is, and people want to hear that. They might not like what they hear, but they want to hear it because they know the general public is going to form an opinion based off of someone being real. And that's why it's so important.
Mr. Toploaded Gaming, the fucking garden gnome who thinks he's intelligent.